How's it going, everybody? This is Keith the Molder here for a bit of a different video today. So usually on my channel we do a lot of relationship breakdowns. We talk about different psychology things, couples, relationships, a lot of sports, a lot of Padres and random baseball slash sport videos. But today I'm going to do more of a personal video. I mean, a lot of my content is personal, but this one is more about myself and things that I have gone through. As the title of the video says, it is my GERD journey, or talking about gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, which I had not really known what it was before last year. And yeah, I just wanted to share my experience because I feel like back when last summer when things kind of happened, I wasn't sure what it was. There wasn't a ton out there. At least I didn't know about it, and not a lot of people really share their experiences, at least in video form. So I figured I would share it and kind of talk about it and kind of things that I've gone through in the last year, just to see if anyone out there can relate and kind of knows what it's like. I guess I'll start off by saying that this isn't anything that's really been life changing. It has been a hard experience, but I'm very thankful that I'm okay and nothing worse has happened. And I understand that there's people out there that have a lot worse health conditions, scares than I do. And I certainly recognize that I'm very blessed and thankful to have the good health that I do right now. So just want to say that, I'm not, this isn't some sob story or anything like that. But I just want to share my story just because it certainly was a bit unnerving going through everything. So start off by giving a quick overview. I've always had acid reflux since I was, a kid. Always had, heartburn, or, sometimes I'd have, stuff come up my throat, or have pain in my stomach. Ever since I was a kid was always hurting. I always had troubles, going to the bathroom, stuff like that. Be on trips, and I'd get anxious because I'd feel like I'd have to go, and it's always kind of been a constant theme within my life. But as of before last year, hadn't really had any issues with it until it'd be here or there, right? It wouldn't be anything super crazy. I kind of had to eat better, and that was the issue. Was sometimes I wouldn't be super disciplined with my eating, and then that's when I would get pain or other bad things would happen. So that was a huge part of it, was just kind of being better about my dietary choices. So, but I guess like everything with GERD happened pretty suddenly, I guess you could say. Like last year, it was right after my birthday. I went on a trip to Florida and ate pretty poorly. I'm not gonna lie. Had a lot of fried stuff, which wasn't necessarily my intention, but being down there with friends and eating out all the time, it was I couldn't really cook for myself because I was on the road visiting friends and things like that. So I also had a lot to drink, which I never really had any issue with my acid and alcohol, but then it started to become an issue. Had that weekend and came home, and I played pickleball one day, and I didn't really have that much water, so that was an issue. But I started having like chest pain, and it like wasn't going away, and it was kind of worrisome. And I was like, oh, like whatever, like it's maybe it's heartburn or something like that. And then I took some Tums, and like I tried to go to bed, but then my chest still hurt. It kept on hurting, and I was getting like it was getting kind of not like blurry vision, but like I was trying to go to bed, and I was just freaking out. And I decided to go to the ER, go to urgent care to try and check it out, and because my chest pain wasn't going away, and I started like having a little bit of a panic attack. I don't know what it was, but either way, got checked out, and I was fine. It was just it was just acid reflux sort of thing. And so after that moment, it started this like consistent trend of this chest pain. So, you always hear that like, oh, right before I had my heart attack, like I had pain on the left side of my chest or like pain in my arm. And then it happens, right? So that kept happening for me, I mainly remember just like being on my drives home from grad school, and I'd have that pain in my chest, like either side, and it would hurt a lot. And or I'd have pain in my arms, like my upper forearm, and it sucked. It was terrible. And so I wasn't sure what was causing it, but it was hard to go to bed. It was hard to be normal because I would just have this pain, and I didn't know what it was, and that kind of fueled the anxiety at the time. And so eventually I went to the GI, and they put me on certain antacids. Pepsid was the first one, and then they did Prilosec. And so nothing, and that's the issue, was like nothing would work. And so I'd be in bed, and I'd like lay up, and it would hurt. It would be this like kind of like stabbing pain. And so it was really difficult for me to not freak out whenever I felt that way, because it's like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? Sort of thing, right? That's the main, you'll hear me say that throughout this video. So, it kept happening, and, had kind of irregular bowel movements, things like that. And that was also tough. I think the worst part was that no matter what I ate, I was trying to eat very clean, and I still felt that pain. And so throughout the summer, I really tried to simplify the diet as much as I could, but I still was having pain. And I got an endoscopy just to see, because if you have a ton of acid reflux, it can erode your esophagus and cause you to have Barrett's esophagus, which can lead to esophageal cancer, which I do not want. So I was worried about that, and I got an endoscopy done, which is, they put you under and stick a camera down your throat to see what your esophagus is like. And thankfully, my esophagus was okay, and there was, nothing wrong with me, which was good to hear, but it was also very frustrating because I'm like, all right, well, I'm still having this pain. Like, what could it be? The other thing was that it was accompanied, not even just the pain, but I'd have, like, my heart would pump really hard. Like, they're called heart palpitations, where you can feel your heart beating a lot. And, whether you're laying down trying to go to bed, it's just doom, doom, doom. Like, I get that sometimes when I get nervous, when I'm like talking to a girl I like or something like that. Or it's just an anxiety producing event. But I was getting this in the morning or at night. Like in the middle of the night, I'd wake up and my heart was racing. It was pounding, and it wouldn't stop. I would try to, soothe myself, do deep breaths, things like that, and it wasn't going away, and that really freaked me out. Remember, there was one night where I woke up, and my mom wasn't here. Usually she's the one I talk to about that stuff, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to die? And thankfully I went, was able to go to sleep. But yeah, definitely very scary, the heart stuff, the heart palpitations. That's something I've never had before. That was really freaky. And, the chest pain also too, but kind of all of it together was really, really difficult for myself. Because, I could deal with like tummy aches, like I've had that all my life. When it comes to chest stuff, you never want to play around with that, because you always hear those stories of, oh, he was 25 and he died of a heart attack. Never would have thought, that sort of stuff. So endoscopy came back clean, and then also got like a lot of the ultrasounds and like heart cardio echo stress tests, things like that, where they like put you on a treadmill and have you exercise and look at your heart. My heart was okay. So that was good to hear. So you figured, all right, well, and I was getting pain in the back of my, on my right shoulder, like in my back. And it hurt so bad. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why am I getting this pain? So I got another ultrasound of my abdominal to see maybe if it was my gallbladder or something. It wasn't that. So, throughout everything, I tried different medications. Like I said, Pepsid or Prilosec, and a couple other medications. But the thing about it was, like, nothing was working. And, a lot of stuff made it worse. Like when I was on Prilosec, there was a week where I was just nauseous, like super nauseous, felt like trash. And it was already difficult enough because I've had a weird relationship with food for a long time, and when I would so I already felt that I couldn't eat anything because when I would eat, then I would have pain, and so food became synonymous with pain, and so that was the issue. Is like no matter what I ate, I still had the pain, and so it's I didn't want to eat anything, and then I was nauseous, and so what basically happened was, a couple points. Like, no matter what I ate, I would still have pain. And then even if I took the medication, I would still feel like shit because of the medication, whether it's, however it operates within the body. Sometimes like with the Prilosec, like it can work too good and it takes away all your acid, which is not a good thing either. And so, I'd be nauseous and it just didn't feel good. I tried this one called Voquezna, which I felt was like better. Like I was not having as many symptoms, but either way, for a long time I was still having like pain during the night. I would, like every time, like I'm a big like roll, like I sleep on my side, and so I'm a big like roll over on both sides kind of guy. And so whenever I would roll over like that movement of my chest would just be so painful, like someone's sticking a dagger right in my chest, like every time. And still to this day, sometimes it still hurts to go like that. That's why I don't really like work out chest as much anymore because I'm afraid of hurting, hurting every time. And that sentence right there, like just personifies, everything that last year was for me. Was I didn't want to do X thing because it was so painful, and I didn't want that pain, so I didn't do it. Like I said, kind of a lot of it was with the diet change, not wanting to eat specific things because I was so scared of making it worse. So in the summer, it was, I ate the most bland diet I ever had. It was like chicken and zucchini and rice every day. And there was, and to be honest, there was points where I would skip lunch because it would just hurt. Or when I didn't eat, it wouldn't hurt. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to not eat. And, so I ate like a lot of bananas. And I still like to do it to this day. This is something positive that happened was I would eat I would heat up 2 bananas in a bowl and then mash it up and then put a little honey on it, put it on like a rice cake, eat that. That's breakfast right there. With some blueberries, also very good. So, but yeah, through that I lost a ton of weight. I was, when I hung out with some people, they were quite shocked to see what I look like, because before that was part of the issue was I weighed, the most I'd ever weighed. I was like the heaviest I was like 240, and I'm like 6'3" 3/4 inches, and so I worked out a lot, so it didn't show as bad as maybe someone else. But I look back at like what I used to look like, and I was like, wow, it was embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough to look at, and I've always been someone that has struggled with my weight throughout my life, and so I can handle going through weight fluctuations. That's just kind of how my life has gone. But to deal with all this other kind of like, the chest pain and nausea and all these other symptoms, like that was really difficult. And so, yeah, it was kind of the gamut of everything. So a big part of the changes over the summer was, just kind of things I was going through was, obviously there was a ton of anxiety, and I've always kind of been an anxious person in general, and this whole process was awful. It was probably the worst thing ever, to be honest, because I'd have these symptoms that I just had no, like, what's the word, like, basis, like there was no, you hurt your foot, your foot's hurt. You rest it, you put ice on it, you get a cast or whatever, right? It was so often I would say that thought to myself of like, man, I wish my leg was broken than have this, because when you don't have any answers, it's scary. Your mind goes to the worst places, right? I mean, that is anxiety, is like thinking the worst to be true. And there's a lot of somatic symptoms as well. Like, I'd get headaches, have a lot of head pain. There'd be times where my vision would be a little bit blurry, like it was hard to focus my eyes. That was also really concerning. I'd be like on my phone at night, and I'm like, I can't look at my screen. I'm like, what is going on? Like, and again, your mind goes to the worst places. You think like, oh, do I have a brain tumor or something like that? Because you hear of that, with blurred vision, and eventually I was fine, and everything was okay. But there's a time where I was getting bad headaches as well. Again, the heart so everything was kind of all there, and it felt a lot like the stuff was out of control. And I'll get into how that affected my view on life later, but so I did want to address is just like, I guess there's all these books about wellness and things like that, and the body keeps score on how stress impacts our physical well-being, and it is definitely true. I mean, I witnessed that firsthand about how important it is to be stress-free, and why stress is so hazardous to your health. So often, and that's the worst thing, is that it compounds, right? Like, you're stressed out, then you're in pain, and then you're even more stressed out that you're stressed out, and it's just like a snowball effect. Like, I can't be chill because I'm in pain, and I'm also in pain because I'm not chill. You know what I'm trying to say. So that was hard, because I never really experienced that before. I never experienced like any physical manifestations of stress. Like maybe my head would hurt or something like that, but it wouldn't be like chest pain, or it wouldn't be all these other symptoms, right? So that was a new experience. A big thing, like I kind of mentioned, was like the weight loss. As I said, I was weighing like 240 at the max, which, for the most part, I try and stick around like 230, 225, which wasn't ideal, but it was like, all right, this is manageable. But, with that new diet, like I wasn't eating, number one. And then I wasn't eating like hardly anything. And at my lowest, I was like 172. So it's almost 70 pounds right there. And that was wild. I haven't been that skinny since I was in high school. And so, I was pretty skeletal. It wasn't awful, like I was going to die or anything, but it was weird. It was weird to be there again, to where like my clothes don't fit. Like even my tightest fitting pants weren't fitting me. I had to like, yank my belt like the most I could to try and get my pants to fit. And of course, my parents are all like, "Oh, you need to buy this clothes. You need to buy new clothes." Blah blah blah, and just made you feel worse because, like, I want to be normal. I want to fit in the clothes that I've always fit in, but a lot of body dysmorphia has existed for myself, which I know is not common for a lot of guys' experiences, but it certainly was for me. Like I used to lift like a lot more. Like I could bench a plate and more, and then I got to the point where again I wasn't working out my chest. I wasn't even working out. Period. Like any lifting, because it would hurt so bad. My chest would hurt so bad. I could hardly lift anything really. Like, and that was worrisome because I've always been a strong person. So it was tough, and it was all because of this stuff. And I don't wish it upon anybody. It's super infuriating, frustrating for sure. Going back to like the view on life, there's a lot of time. Like there was a couple moments where I had pretty bad existential dread, where, and I don't know if you've ever had it. Any of those of you watching have ever can speak to what that's like, but it is not fun. It is probably the worst feeling in the world to have this. Like, For some reason, I always have it while I'm driving, but basically, it's this like spiral you do where you think about your own existence, and then you think about like not existing anymore. Just the idea of like nothingness, and like this is all for naught. And sorry, I'm like messing with my hair so much. Like this stupid little hairs in the front won't go over, but yeah, just you like it's almost like a cartoonish kind of feeling. You literally feel your body go, like you feel this like sense. Again, they call it that impending sense of doom, and I felt it like super hard. And I was in my car and I was like, oh my god! And you just like your eyes start opening and you start thinking about like not existing ever again. And yeah, it was not fun. So do not recommend. Don't do that. But point is like that's how stressed out I was. That's how all this stuff was affecting me this summer. And thankfully, I had a good therapist and was able to talk through these things and had a really good support system. I appreciate my friends for getting me through, for sure. But it was tough. I mean, it was tough, especially with the weight loss stuff, because so many people have trouble losing weight, and so when I did lose weight, people are like, "Oh, like you look so good now. Like, who even are you, bro? Like, you look hot, yada yada." And you receive all these positive comments, and it's great to hear that. But it's like, yeah, I look good, but I've also like been in such misery to get here, and it's tough. I don't blame anybody for wanting to be positive. Like, oh, I guess that's a positive of this whole experience. It's like I would rather be overweight and ugly than have all this pain, like straight up. But I get it. No one knows. But I also did experience the whole people treat you differently when you're thin thing, and that sucks. And I certainly have probably treated people the same way. Like, it's unfortunate that beauty standards are so pervasive that like, oh, if you're overweight, you're less than, or if you're skinny, you're therefore like God's gift to the world, right? And it's unfortunate. It's the reality of the matter. But yeah, it was tough because for so long I did want to lose weight. I did want to look how I did in college, and then I did, and I was like, I didn't want it. I didn't want it like this. I wanted it, but I didn't want it like that. And just emphasize also the importance of focusing on your diet and eating right and eating good portions, not overeating, not snacking late at night, being really disciplined. Like it's difficult. It was hard. So definitely a learning lesson for sure. Moving on, I guess the view on life thing. Like I said, a lot of existential dread and the idea of dying, and I think like going to the hospital and having the endoscopy and having all these different things, really emphasize the importance of life and the importance of your health, and to not take it for granted, because anything could happen at any moment. And I think where that kind of changed my life or perspective, I'm still the same agnostic king over here. Like nothing's changed in that way, but I think in terms of like the afterlife or anything like that, like before I was like, again, I think I'm still the same generally. Not knowing for certain if there's something else, but I think everything that I've gone through and everything else, everyone else I know in life has gone through, I'm like, there's got to be something else after this. There just has to be. And at this point, I'm like, I don't care, like if it does or doesn't. Like I'm just gonna believe there is, because this has been a stupid existence. Like there's so much stupid shit that's happened this year and last, that I'm like, you know what, like there's gonna be another life, and this is what I'm living right now is already cake. Like I gotta be thankful for the time I have right now. And I'm pretending this is like a second afterlife. Like I already died, and I get another shot at it. That's kind of how I'm viewing it. Again, for the record, I don't know if there's an afterlife or not. I hope there is. That would be sick. And to be honest, it'd be really stupid if there wasn't. But also, I got no choice. I have no choice in the matter. Like if there is, there is. If there's not, it's out of my hands, right? So anyway, haven't had existential dread in a long time, and that has been very great. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, the whole. Well, let me just I guess take you to present day where I'm at right now. Right now, I'm like a lot better. A big part of that, gotta thank my guy, little Reflux Gourmet. It's this thing that has really like helped me like regain life. And I'm not sponsored. I wish I could be. Please sponsor me. Give me some free shit, right? So this thing called Reflux Gourmet, it looks like a lotion bottle, right? Like that's what everyone always says. But basically, it's like a syrup. It's like a caramel syrup. And so these people created this for people with GERD and acid reflux. It has sodium alginate in it, calcium pantothenate, sodium bicarbonate, bunch of other shit. The point is, it's like really great. It what I've heard, at least what they say, is like it creates like a raft on the top of your stomach so that like reflux doesn't come up. I don't know how scientific that is or how much that necessarily works, but it works. I've had a lot less symptoms in the last couple months because of it. Oh yeah, before I tried the Reflux Gourmet, in the summer I got tested for SIBO, which is small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which can happen and cause these symptoms as well. So I got tested for that. I was positive for that, and went on a bunch of antibiotics. So did like multiple rounds of that. Still having pain, so I tried another one. Still wasn't working, and so that was kind of like, all right, well, we can't do so many antibiotics all the time. So then I tried this, and it's been super helpful. You like, I guess you drink it rather. I don't know, eat it. It's a syrup, so however you want to classify. But would have it before a meal or after a meal, and it wouldn't make you feel like shit. My chest hasn't hurt as much. Don't really have that arm pain anymore. That was hurting, like as if I pulled a muscle in my arms. It hurt so bad. But yeah, the chest pain definitely not gone. And there will be different parts of the chest pain. Like now, I'd say it's more in the middle. Like and sometimes at night, if I like move, like it still kind of hurts. That happens, but not as much. To be honest, more what the pain is now, it's more like kind of like a pressure. It's like a lot of the symptom is like burping, like a ton of gas, right? Just like burping all the time, like really, they call them guttural burps or whatever, which is like insane burps, and a lot. Like I'd burp like 10 times in a row. It was crazy. So now I'd say like that's more the pain I have is more that kind of pressure in the chest rather than like stinging sharp pain in the chest. So that's been solid. But yeah, so definitely very thankful for Reflux Gourmet, and I have another friend who's going through the same stuff I am, and the Reflux Gourmet has been super helpful for them. So I'd recommend it if you've tried all the meds and they haven't worked. Like try this, it could be something. But anyway, just going over it, my life now has returned somewhat to normal. Like I have been able to eat certain things that I wasn't in the past, and I've been okay, which is really such a godsend. Like there might be times where I'm in pain, but it's not as bad as it was. I'm really thankful because there was a time back in the summer where I was like, I'm never going to eat like pizza ever again. I'm never going to have a hamburger. I'm never going to have, a taco ever again. And those are like some of my most like cherished like food things to eat. Like I love food. I love to eat. It's one of my favorite things to do. without sounding like a big back. But I mean, I love to cook. That's also what it is. So it was really, really difficult to go through that because it was like a part of my life was taken from me. It was like, dude, I can't do this thing I enjoy. And a big part of that too was even with friends. Like I couldn't go out to bars, or I could, but I would have to get water. Or we'd go to a restaurant and be like, okay, well I can only have like a piece of chicken or something really bland like rice. It was really difficult to find like GERD friendly options out there because like anything could be a trigger. Like there's so many different triggers. It's like nuts or garlic, onions. I mean, anything acidic, anything spicy, can't have. But there'll be other stuff like high fat content or wheat. So you can't even have bread or anything. So it was a lot of rice crackers, a lot of rice. That definitely was helpful. But you can't have any soy sauce, because that's a huge trigger. A lot of soy, a lot of or even corn. Certain stuff. So it was like I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't, and it was frustrating. It was immensely frustrating to feel like I was fighting an uphill battle, basically. Anyway, yeah. So that's also just like socially how it impacted me as well. I think that like it was really hard to convey these things to my friends and just how much it impacted me mentally. I don't think they really understood. I mean, this is not a subtweet at my friends, but you can't understand unless you go through it. Like they think, his tummy hurts. You just got to get over it. Like that's how it felt. But it's like, no, like I feel like I'm having a heart attack like all the time. Like I don't think you guys get that. And so for one of my friends who has had it recently, it's she gets it because it's like, oh yeah, like this isn't just like, oh, I have a little heartburn, I take Tums and I'm fine. Like it's like debilitating. Like you can't enjoy life, like because you're always scared of like getting a flare up. And so I can empathize with people who go through way worse medical conditions where these things, like Crohn's or any of those different sort of diseases. Like I'm thankful I don't have that. I'm very blessed. But I can certainly empathize with that pain or that anxiety of wondering, am I going to be okay right now? Am I going to have a flare-up? Am I going to be, am I going to be present with my friends? What's my quality of life going to be like, right? So that was a new experience for me. Definitely humbled for sure. And, definitely a lot of guilt as well, not being able to be present with my friends or missing out on certain functions or, oh my God, it's just like so much more of a logistical nightmare of having to bring my food everywhere and like, oh, is there a fridge nearby? Can I heat it up? Or just like, you're out on the road, like where am I going to get good food that doesn't hurt my stomach or make my chest hurt? Yeah, it was hard, and you feel like you're on an island because no one really gets it. They don't really understand what it's like. So that was hard, and then you got people who also like weren't super. I don't know. It's like I don't want to use this analogy. I guess I appreciate when people are like looking out for me in that way. Like if someone's dealing with any addiction to anything, even alcohol, like if someone has this relationship with whatever, like you gotta be as supportive as you can with that. Part of that means don't offer them a drink. Don't take them to a bar. Ask them how you can be supported. And so that was the issue with me, was like, oh, you can have this, right? Like, here, let's go eat at this like super greasy, like acidic food place. You can have that, right? And it was like, dude, no, I can't have that. Stop offering it to me. You know what I've been dealing with, right? So that was kind of frustrating, was people not being more mindful of stuff. And I don't blame them either, sometimes you just don't know. And it's unintentional. You're just trying to be a friend. But yeah, it's definitely, it's hard. It's hard to be that guy. It's just like someone who's vegan. Like you always like, oh, well, I can't have that. And I remember in the past I get annoyed at people who are vegan. Like, oh my God, why don't you just eat whatever? And it's like, I get it. I always being a dick. Like I should have been more understanding because I wanted that understanding myself. So I understand now, unfortunately. So anyway, yeah, just overall, it was a tough process, for sure. And also dealt with the breakup over the summer, and that certainly did not help matters. And deaths in the family, a lot of stress from school, losing jobs, a lot of stuff happened last year, you know, and it wasn't fun, and I'm sure it also exacerbated these symptoms. That's the whole thing about GERD. It's like that. It's like a sneaky little spy. Like you can't find it. You can't see it. It's like an invisible thing, and you want to just like, shoot it with a gun, but you can't. And so it's like every little stupid thing could make it worse. It's so fickle like that. But I guess, you're thankful for those good moments. I remember there was so often where I would be like driving home and I would notice that I don't have pain. And I'd be like so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have pain. And I'd like blare my music and I'd go ham and it'd be like, yes, like this finally like feels so much better. So, yeah, I don't know if there's any like little takeaways. I hope you appreciated me talking about this. If you have any questions, like put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. Type you a little response, but yeah, Reflux Gourmet. Give it a shot. You gotta try it. It's been nice. But I guess the other thing is just be patient with yourself. Make good choices. It's okay to simplify the diet. Do the elimination thing. And certain things are triggering you. Then, but Godspeed. It's hard to be disciplined, and it's not for the weak. And I salute you if you're doing that journey, because it was really difficult for me. But know that there's a lot of people online. There's a community for people who go through this, and you gotta shout out Reddit for being that place to look up stories and kind of assure myself that others are going through the same thing. Because there was a lot of times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like I have a heart thing. I know it. And then you read the forums, and it's like I went through the same thing. This exact same thing happened. And it's always as I read online, like, yeah, I went on a bender, had a bunch of fried foods, and then the next week I was having these symptoms. I'm like, sounds like me. So never take your health for granted. That's number one. And number two, also for the record, if you're someone that struggles with your weight, like it's never too late to make a change. You just have to be disciplined, make the change for yourself. You gotta want that, and you gotta have that mental discipline. And hey, if you need help, ask for help. Ask for help from your buddies to say, hey, like, can you help me be accountable? I'll try my best, but can you help me, like, if you want to work out or eat well, like to encourage me to be that positive voice amidst like the stress. So anyway, that's my story. Appreciate you watching. Let me know if you have any questions. But yeah, it's been my GERD journey. Let me know what you think.